Hey, so welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. It is the third Wednesday of the month, which means that we should be doing something about juniors, but I'm looking out my window and it's snowing so much. And it's just this beautiful winter wonderland that all I could think about was how cool it would be to get the girls outside in this winterness. And I don't know what that is, but it's going to happen a few times during this recording. Um, it, how wonderful it would be to get the girls out in this snow and let them just explore the wonders of Maine in the outdoors. Having grown up in sunny California, even the part of my growing up that was in Northern California that's not nearly as sunny in the wintertime as Southern California is, I had no experience like this. So even though we've lived here kind of a long time, I still love these days and just think, oh, it's so fun. It's so cool. So let's look at some of the fun things that we can do to get out winter edition. And I'm hoping that you all can't hear that surrounded by the tracks little audio clip that I keep hearing. But if you are, just enjoy the folksiness, the hominess of these recordings, and we'll go with that. So Get Out, Winter Edition, Girl Scouts of Maine. And absolutely, it's winter and it's cold, but get out anyway. And because it's fun. I mean, don't these women look like they're having a good time? I guess it might not all be women. It's hard to tell. But these people look like they're having a great time. And look they carved a table in the snow and they have their feet in sort of a trench and they've got tents and it just looks like, what a fun time. And I've got some links to some good stuff that I'll take you to toward the end of the webinar because there are lots of resources out there. So let's keep looking at stuff. So step one of getting outdoors, getting the girls outdoors is to convince your co-leaders to go winter camping or winter kind of anything. And this link down at the bottom, backpacker.com, we're going to go to that toward the end of the recording because they've got lots of resources there that will help you, which is really nice. But doesn't that look so cool, that tent under the starry sky with the snow all around and the lights on the inside? Yeah, okay, there's that idea. I, like it looks so romantic and wonderful, but I'm pretty sure it's chilly. And that part of me that's all bundled up in my woolies and fleece pants and everything on a cold winter's day, but in a house with a good furnace. It's easy for me to look at the picture and say, oh, that looks so fun. And it's probably a little chilly anyway, but that's okay because it'd be fun and it'd be something to experience and survive, right? So step one, convince those co-leaders. And then remember this whole progression thing, because progression for the outdoors is not just for summertime or, the warm weather places, but it's for all the time. And so even if somebody is full on sleep out, camp out, adventure out in the summer months, you might have to start at the very beginning for the winter months. And that's totally fine, whether that someone is you or your co-leaders or your girls or whoever. Really go back to the beginning on progression when it comes to different weather. And cold weather is something that a lot of people are nervous about because, we hear the scary stories of, oh, hypothermia, oh, frostbite. People in Maine don't really get frostbite because we know how to dress for it, which is really cool. The times when people have problems with hypothermia are often the fall and the spring when it's a beautiful warm day during the day. And so we go out in shorts and forget our sweater. And then we're caught out after dark when it gets really cold and damp. So wintertime, we know how to dress for it. So let's take advantage of that knowledge, right? But let's start people with that lookout. And so for our girls and our co-leaders, that might mean, no kidding, looking out the window at the beautiful snow falling and just enjoying how pretty it is and looking at how it outlines the trees and the fences and the wires and noticing how it covers up all of those sloppy leaves that you didn't get raked up in the spring or in the fall. Not that that's true at my house, but it totally is. And it just makes everything look so pretty and clean. And, talking about what is it like? What are some things that you know about the outside? Because they've all been out in it, but but getting them comfortable and thinking about it again. Maybe having the beginning of one of your meetings outside when there's snow on the ground, and just looking at how it gets dirty after a while. If you're in a parking lot, you'll see how yucky the snow gets on the side. My first real experience with kids and dogs in the snow was at a gas station in Pennsylvania. And I was so excited. It's like, oh, let's get them in the snow. And then we went to get back in the car, and all three of them were covered in greasy oil, filthy yuckiness, which I had not anticipated. And so we spent an hour cleaning them off before we'd let them back in the car. And then we were smarter after that. So going outside and looking at the different things and spending a little time out there and doing that look, listen, feel, and smell in the outdoors. And then moving, taking a little walk around, not necessarily in through the snow if they don't have the right boots on, but they probably do, because I know kids wear their snow boots and their snow pants to school when there's snow out on the playground, because if they want to go out on the playground at recess, they have to have those things, right? So let them know ahead of time to come to your meeting with their snow boots and their snow pants, which the little kids, I think, are more likely to do than the big kids. If you've got older girls, remind them, hey, we're going to go outside, so you need to be dressed for it, because you're going to get wet and uncomfortable in your jeans if you're not ready for it. So have them ready so you can move out and then take and explore. But going through those progression steps, just like you would any other time of year, and remembering that just because somebody is at the campout level in the summertime does not mean that she's at the campout level, or even the cookout level, or even the move out level in the wintertime. So being okay with and making it okay for your girls and your co-leaders to go back to the very beginning on that. And they'll go through faster if they are comfortable with it. And then look at these ideas, because there are things that are so accessible. So just taking a walk to look at the snow. I know in our town, they plow the sidewalks. And so walking on the sidewalk that has been plowed, so that you are not in the snow so much as surrounded by the snow. If they don't plow your sidewalk, maybe you can go to a place where the road is not busy, where you could walk along and, not get anybody hit by cars. We don't want that. But walking where they're not actually in the snow, they're just kind of looking at the snow. And then snowshoeing. A lot of communities have sets of snowshoes that you can rent or borrow. I know last year or the year before, somebody said that the Wyndham rec department had a set of snowshoes that people could borrow for free in Wyndham, which is great if you live in Wyndham or thereabouts. But if you don't live in Wyndham, go to your rec department and see if they have a similar program. You could even let them know, hey, do you know in Wyndham, Maine, they let Girl Scouts borrow their snowshoes for free. And see, lots of schools have sets of snowshoes too, that, like a classroom set of snowshoes that they might let you borrow. So ask, because if you don't ask, the answer is no, right? But if you ask, the answer might be yes. So there's that. Making snow angels or snowball people. So I don't encourage snowball fights. I'm not saying you can't do snowball fights, but sometimes the snow is icy and it hurts more. And so you'll want to assess what's right in your troop. But snowball people, making snowballs, because a full-size snowman is hard. And if you're up for it, sister, go for it. Maybe I'm impatient or lazy or both, but snowball people are just my speed because they fit in my hand. And I always think there was a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon piece where he'd made this huge army of little snowball sized people. It was hilarious. Anyway, it was like they were taking over the house. They were coming to invade the house or something. It was funny. Anyway, something that's small and accessible. So it's like progression in snow sculpting, because the next idea is snow sculpting, which you could actually do in the bank of the snow, where it's been cleared away. Make sure you get a place where it's not yucky and oily and greasy, but just sculpting something along the driveway, along the parking lot, along the side of a building. And one time we even took out spray bottles that had colored water in them, just with food coloring in some water, and spritzed the sculptures so that they were, I think we had a dragon, and we had like just a big peace sign or something that was sort of just artsy. But then there was a dragon on one side, and there were some other creations. I don't remember what they were, but the girls had a blast, and they were in teams. So we ended up doing sort of an art walk afterwards, and they voted on which ones they liked the best. And that was fun. Cross country skiing. Again, with the rec departments and local cross-country ski clubs might be willing to take your girls out and give that a go. It's harder than it looks. If you haven't done it before, you might want to like sign everybody up for a class. But it's a great idea and a great way to see places in the snow that you can't see from trails necessarily. Ice skating outdoors. I got to tell you, that was one of the most magical things because I had ice skated in rinks, which is just like roller skating in rinks, right? You know, it's slightly different skills, but very similar. But ice skating on a pond that I had been in a boat on or been swimming in the summer before was the coolest, man. And you know, you look down and you can see the ice, and you can see that it's, you know, maybe 4 to 6 inches thick, and there are cracks in it, not cracks that are going to break through, but just cracks because it's ice and physics and all of that. It was so cool. And that's a magic that is hard to believe until you've done it, which a lot of grown-ups did it when they were little kids, but um, maybe your kids haven't had the opportunity to do it. Take them out; it'll be awesome. Or a snow BQ, like those folks were doing with the table that they'd carved into the snow, having a barbecue or some kind of meal outside. That's a lot of fun. Um, and building snow shelters, whether you're going to sleep in them overnight or not, just building them, digging into the snow when you've got a lot of deep snow. Right now, our snow in southern Maine is not super deep, but a couple weeks ago, after we had that blizzard, it would have been deep enough to build something. It might have been too dry and fluffy. I'm not sure. I didn't try to build anything in it, but you know, play with your resources, look at your resources and see what you've got there. And then, you know, I really want everybody thinking, what can we do as Girl Scouts about it? And at your troop level, oh, see, there's that thing again. Let's see if it's going to, and it went away. Think about progression for your girls and your grown-ups, of course, and start simple, short, and sweet, because we really always want to leave them wanting more, right? So you've got an hour and a half long meeting. You're going to go out for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even the first time. Just something simple, short, and sweet, um, because we want them to have fun and want to do it again. Where if we plan something that's an hour and a half long and they get too cold and wet and miserable, then you'll never get them out there again. So at the troop level, really think progression. Think try to like bites and a little bit more. And then at the service unit level, whether you're on the service team or not, you can certainly initiate something and get people thinking about planning some kind of big sisterhood winter event, because all of our communities have some local groups, maybe just doing something as simple as a winter walk in Cocoa. So the winter walk would just be a very simple walk. Like in our community, we have this local park called Beaver Park that has some paths that get plowed for snowmobiling and cross-country skiing. So you wouldn't want to walk on one of those, but if we asked ahead of time, they would tell us where we could take a walk and they would groom it for us. And lots of communities have places like that. And then there's a little lodge where we could go in and have cocoa and marshmallows, and that would take at least as much time as the walking probably did, but everybody would be happy and they would leave happy with that, because everybody's happy after they have cocoa, right? Or doing a winter art walk where all the troops, each troop does its own winter sculpture, and then you walk around and look at everybody's great sculpture. Or some kind of local group exhibition. Like I love how it's making me click all the way through. Maybe you've got a sledding group. I know, especially in the northern places, there are snowmobile groups all over the place. So getting them to teach the girls about snowmobiles, or getting parents involved who have sleds, and coming up with an event around that, or ice fishing, or dog sleds. We have a number of dog sled groups all over the state. And so finding a way to link in with them, maybe even somebody in your service unit participates in one of these kind of groups, or another group that would be similar, that you could loop them in and do some kind of a big sisterhood winter event, couple of hours on a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon, and the girls would have a blast. Oh, and curling. I forgot I added that one. Um, I was sitting here with my husband and we were trying to remember what's the name of that sport that you slide the thing and you have the brooms. And so I actually Googled Olympic winter sport with brooms and got the right name, curling. I think curling's mostly done indoors, but even still, it's such a fun little, I don't know, I shouldn't call it a fun little, that's diminutive, but I think it's funny. And I love that people love it. And then GSME, one of the things that we do to really help you get your girls outside is do some workshops at both Transforming Leadership and LEAP, to give you some ideas about getting your girls outside, more than just what we're talking about here. Um, and one of those workshops is called Outdoors in the Winter and Mud Seasons, which I love. And then one that's coming up at LEAP is going to be an outdoor scavenger hunt. And Elaine Taylor is leading that one. And it's going to be super fun all around the Cheverus campus over to Payson Park. She's going to have a scavenger hunt set up for the participants in that workshop to run around and find stuff. And we've got some geocache places along in there that that are going to be part of it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Or if we did an adult winter weekend, I've just started talking with Elaine and Mary Boyle, who's the camp director out at Camp Pondicherry, about planning something for next winter. That would be an adult winter weekend where we'll build shelters and do all kinds of stuff, depending on how winter serves us. You know, some winters we have no snow, and so you have to do different outdoor winter things. But I think it'll be fun. And then maybe following that up with a winter fun outdoor day for girls too. So um, these are just some ideas that are beginning to play. But if you have ideas, throw them out there, post them underneath this on the volunteer swap, or email them in, because, you know, we've got lots of winter here in Maine. And so whether your ideas are for the troop level, the service unit level, or council level, send them in. Let's get some ideas. And then next week we are going to talk more about LEAP, but don't wait. Go on to eBiz right now and sign up for LEAP, because it's going to be a terrific day, full of workshops. And it's 6 hours of workshops that you can attend, and it's only $15. And what kind of swinging deal is that? And I know of at least a couple of volunteers who've taken like the workshops that they've gone to, and they've gone to their employers and said, hey, can I have continuing education units for it? And they've gotten credit. So if you work in an industry that wants continuing education units, consider doing just that. And I think I'm at the end of this, but I do want to show you that website that I mentioned, because it's really cool. So this Backpacker magazine, they've got all sorts of videos around winter camping. And I just think it's really neat. Let's see if I can make it scroll. Make that go away. Scroll. Are you going to work for me? Everything's slow. Okay, so the 15 uses for snow. This one made me laugh. Let's get that open. There it is. Because it has 15 uses for snow. To build furniture, survive a storm. So how to carve a snow cave, and gives you a link, and building furniture, which would be like that table. Doing some business, or doing your business, not some business, like going to the bathroom. I love this. Unlike a dead leaf or a smooth stone, snow is moldable, and the white color makes it easy to monitor progress, which I think is funny. You know, I'm a big fan of the flush to punctuate my experience, but in a pinch, you got snow. So it's got fun ideas in there of things you can do with snow. And this one, how to convince your friends to go winter camping, because sometimes you need this. So with your co-leaders, you might want to refer to this. I love this. Ask your crazy friend, which doesn't that define a lot of our co-leaders, you know, and ask your fitness friend, and ask your reserved friend. I don't know what the real reasoning is there. The weird guy who doesn't talk much. Oh, that's nice. So you ask your reserved friend, the weird guy who doesn't talk much. Guess what else he won't do much? Complain. Boom. That's funny. Play up the novelty factor, appeal to the inner gearhead, or play up your own skills. So lots of great ideas. And I love the last one. Make empty promises. Practice saying, just because it's cold out doesn't mean you have to be. And say it like you mean it. By the time your companion realizes you're lying, it'll be too late to night hike back to the trailhead. Not that I'm encouraging you to not be honest and fair. Absolutely. Honesty is great. And having a buddy who will go on some of these crazy adventures with you is also great. But that resource of I gotta move this so I can get back to it. That resource of this backpacker magazine on here is really handy and has lots of really cool ideas. Haha, get it? Cool ideas. Um, it's gonna go back. I can feel it. There it is. Um, have lots of great ideas. And, we live in these magical times where we can access all sorts of great ideas just by typing into Google, how can I do this? And Pinterest and the various Facebook groups too, because we've got lots of Girl Scouts across the northern states. So not just in Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont, but Montana and Idaho and Colorado, all those places that have cold, cold places. Um, Lots of fun. The LL Bean Discovery School does programs for winter experiences. So finding those resources, those people resources, and the written and video resources to help us get ready, I think is super helpful. Oh, I'm getting so many email notifications. Isn't that awesome? So there you go. Does anybody in the room have some ideas of winter outdoorsy stuff that have worked for you that your girls have enjoyed?
I have younger girls, so I haven't really started with it, but I really liked I was able, usually I'm not home
Uh-huh.
during the time that you do your webinar, but I'm home, of course, today because I
Right.
didn't do my volunteer job. But thanks. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Well, and isn't the little girls are so good at going out for a little walk or maybe showing you some of the clever ways that they've figured out how to play in the snow. And
Yeah, and they're never cold.
I know, isn't it hilarious until they're frozen. But but they are happy to wear their little snowsuits and the whole bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And if you can pull in some of the bigger girls to help them, um, then suddenly the big girls are freed up to play where they might not with each other. And they're super cool to the little girls too. I love
Yeah, that would be a great idea. Thanks,
some of the,
Don.
of course, on the volunteer swap, when I first posted that this was going to be the topic for today, a couple of people had put in, one person had put in that she, as a Girl Scout, when she was a kid, used to go winter camping. Their troop went out on, Abnaki used to have another property on the Penobscot, and they would go out there and do winter camping. And then Jacinta, who's in your service unit, Cynthia,
Yes.
she said that her troop went snowshoeing on the farm property of one of the troop families, which, I think that's wonderful because lots of our troops have somebody who has a little bit, maybe a bigger yard where you could easily go on a snowshoeing adventure or a short hike and know that you're not too terribly far away from an indoor bathroom and a place to whip up some hot cocoa. Those are my two priorities in life, obviously.
Obviously.
Yes. And somebody else had mentioned that we've done dog sledding in the past. We've had a dog sledding group come to Camp Pondicherry in the past. But I know that other service units who have dog sledding groups in them have just brought them into a service unit event. And it's really very cool because the they tend to be well socialized. And so they're very friendly. And then, boy, when they get in their harnesses, they are ready to go. And it's so amazing to see how they do their thing and they work so well as a team. They work so well with their driver and scooting around.
Yeah.
I know also here in our town they do horses pulling sleds at some point. I want to say it's like in February. Um,
Hmm.
and so asking around and things that we stopped noticing, I think, in our own towns, just kind of looking at them with the Girl Scout eye of, oh, what could we do? In fact, for thinking for next year, I know in Brunswick they do a ski and skate sale in like early November before anybody's expecting actual snow. But I think a lot of communities do that kind of thing. Just going to that and seeing what people have in mind and what people are talking about for winter sports can be a fun thing, whether people are actually buying the skates and skis or not. A Girl Scout troop could go and ask a lot of questions and learn about what are we looking for in ice skates? What are we looking for in different kinds of skis? Because whether their families do those sports or not, they may or may not know about some of the ins and outs, some of the tech stuff associated with the tools. Ooh, look at this
Yeah,
Chateau de Glace. Yeah, go
that
ahead.
sounds great.
Yeah. Well, and where it's a free resource, it's just a thing that's going on right there. Yeah. Lots of stuff. I love the snow falling from the sky. See, now I'm going to have to go make some cocoa too because I've been talking about it too much.
Yeah, I was just thinking that you probably were going to.
All right. Well, if anybody else has some ideas, please do post them on the volunteer swap because we are just halfway, not even halfway. We are just a third of the way through winter. Yay. Um, and so we might as well have some great ideas for having fun with it, right? Ooh,
Right.
and having lots of
Well,
adventures.
thank you again.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you were able to log in. And if those of you who are listening later, be sure that you add your ideas too. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.